Well, we've covered an amazing amount of territory.
And what's weird is there's a heck of a lot more to cover.
It speaks to the depth and the richness of the stories.
Right.
You know, you can't have an experience like that of Oklahoma, the native peopling of Oklahoma that we talked about when we started all of this. Bringing together that many different separate groups of people who share a common foundation as indigenous peoples of North America into really the closed confinement of what we now call the state of Oklahoma. Yeah. Caused amazing things to happen.
Right.
And I, for one, just can't go on enough about the uniqueness of this.
I think that's right. And I think you're right, too, that bringing all of those folks here, it's almost like having a particle collider or whatever the scientists come up with, right? I gather that good things come out of that. Certainly they came out of Oklahoma. And you're absolutely right. There's so much astonishing richness there. There's plenty to cover. In each of our units, you could teach 3-4 classes out of each one of these and still have plenty to talk about, still have exciting things to say. Looking at the literature, looking at the film, the art, and so forth.
And we've focused on almost exclusively on the native stories. And we have to remember, too, that there's amazing ethnic diversity that's part of this also.
Absolutely right.
The Anglo experience, African Americans.
African Indian.
Exactly. You know, the influence of Mexican Americans. You know, intermarriage, not just between Indian communities, but among an incredible array of ethnic groups who came to Oklahoma for their own reasons and through their own stories and experiences.
Yeah, absolutely right. We think too of some of the more out-of-the-way ones like the Guatemalan populations in Oklahoma, the Vietnamese population in Oklahoma City. There's just a lot of vibrancy around here. And I think as we think harder about what is offered through those communities, the more attractive and again rich and rewarding we see Oklahoma as a place.
You know, I think that the other thing that I hope has resonated through the materials that we've watched and that we've read and the discussions that we've had is the fact that despite the somewhat dark aspects of the genesis of Indian territory and the modern state of Oklahoma, that really what we've done, I think, is to focus on stories of not just survival, but trying to bring increased attention and awareness of the amazing fluorescence that not only took place in the past, but continues to be the major force, the major energy that drives the continuing development and evolution of the native cultures of Oklahoma.
Yeah, you stole my word there in the energy, right? There's a lot of volition behind here, and there's a lot of just positive movement. I think oftentimes we forget that these aren't just stories about reaction. They're not even just stories about resistance, right? They're at the same time just stories about people moving forward and exercising agency on their own, doing what it is that they feel like they have to do, that they want to do. And I guess for my money, the more attention we can pay to that kind of energy, the better off we'll be. And I think that's one of the things that we tried to make space for in this class. And I believe that it's been successful. In that all over the state, there are people who have expertise. It doesn't just belong to PhDs, right? If anything, we are just okay at finding out what it is that other people know. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, it's one of the unfortunate aspects of being an academic is that people want to praise you and give you all of this credit. But really, you're exactly right. Everything I think that we've brought to bear here is largely the product of other people's knowledge and the fact that Native peoples have struggled and have persevered to continue to make this history and this cultural tradition a vibrant part of not only their lives but of the larger lives of Oklahoma. That it's again, I think, part of the incredible richness of the story.
Right, and I think it's my hope, at least, that having been exposed to some of this richness, that people will understand that there ought to be room made at the tables for all of these different voices. We need to learn how it is that we can open up space for and respect these positions. Because as it turns out, like you say, I don't know that you can be an expert in Indian Oklahoma. That's hard to do. There's too much, right? But what we can do is open up space for the people who are experts in their particular areas.
Yeah, and I think, that self-determination is an element at both the individual and the community levels, that people have to be free as they work through all of this to make meaningful lives, not only for themselves, but for future generations also.
Yes, indeed. Yep, that will happen in partnership, I think. Yeah, great. It's been a lot of fun.
It has.